here we are, ladies and gentlemen. In the top left-hand corner of the map, we have our red Terran player from Quantic. It is...
Quantic TheStC.
There we have it. Everyone like doing the exact same motion when they get on camera. I don't know what this like double fist in the air is, but it's pretty awesome.
It's a powerful motion.
Yes, and down here in the bottom right-hand corner, we have one of the very best Zerg players in the world. From Team MVP, it is...
MVP DongRaeGu.
Ah, yes. The Nerd Warhorn has made its appearance. Oh, he did double thumbs up, not the double fist pump, so that's even better. We're going to find out what the, and it is, of course, Legend. Give a big round of applause for Legend after that episode. So we're on Ohana now. It's TVZ, and well, again, we don't know what the series score is right now, so we're going to find that out here in just a second. But looks like we are going to have a command center first coming out from the STC, and hatch first, as always, of course, for our Zerg player.
Yep. That's pretty standard stuff here. The thing we're going to have to watch for here is if DRG takes OSB and gas first, if he does spawning pool first, and then we want to see if the Terran, last time, the recent game we just watched, I was going to say if the command center is at the wall, this is kind of a little bit safer, takes a little bit of mining time away instead of you just put it at the natural. This is a safe way of doing it, you'd think, right? Last time when those slowlings got in, so it's not always safe. You got to have good scouting with it too.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Leenock did just a fantastic job of hiding those extra 8-lings that he produced, and that's what really did all the damage for him. Now, this drone is trapped for a while. It's going to be... Oh, no, never mind. He lets it out that way, but just so we can get his SCV scout out as well. And we do see from the series score, DongRaeGu is up 1-0 at the moment, so this is actually kind of an interesting map choice from the STC, if you ask me. There are players like... I know we just saw Polt, but Polt actually likes to play TVZ here, given his style, given lots of drops, bio play, maneuverability, things like that. Some sweet supply depot movement there. But this is kind of an interesting choice from the STC. I mean, we would assume again that Antigua has been vetoed out, but not choosing something like Cloud Kingdom.
Yeah, Ohana is a map that's a very interesting style. It's a very different map than the other ones. You can take 4, but it's like aggressive 4th base. You're moving towards your opponent with it, and it's very good for drop harass. Like if your Zerg opponent wants to take a 4th, it's very easy to harass the 4th, the main. You can even do more drops if you curl around the sides with dropships. And it kind of makes it slightly different than most maps, just from the way it's situated. So I'm really interested to see what builds STC has planned. It's his choice of map. He's already going 2 barracks to start with, which is a little bit different. Last time we saw some Hellions.
2 racks into double gas right afterwards, so he still has some flexibility out of this. He could easily tech, go right into Metavax. He could actually throw on a couple of factories here in a second and try and hit some sort of a bio-Hellion timing. But I'm really curious what DongRaeGu is going to be able to pick up from this. He himself has bypassed gas, so going with something similar to what we saw Leenock do last game, minus, of course, the 12 lings at the beginning, just the normal 2 to establish map presence.
Yep, and here are these Marines that we have from STC are just going to be safe, at least for a while. They can't really move on the map too much. Otherwise, the Zerg is going to have Queens to be able to be safe for that. Something that STC could potentially want to do is when a hatchery is made at the 3rd base, you can make a bunker out of range. And if for whatever reason STC can sneak some Marines around to get in a bunker over there, maybe that's what he's planning on doing. He's going to try and hold the tower up here, which is a little bit risky, right? Those 12 lings again would have paid off somehow here. Would have got these SCVs, but it's not the case here. And I feel like these Marines are just going to poke, see if there's a 3rd, try to deny it if there is. Look, DRG is actually moving Queens out to try and fight these Marines away from the 3rd base.
A nice job, though, to go ahead and pick off those lings that were moving back to help support. So these 5 Marines going to have a tough time against 4 Queens. Those 4 Queens will be able to pretty easily dispatch of them, and that is going to force STC to turn around, loses 1 Marine right away. Now, one thing that STC has always done well, always, you see the supply depot while it's actually being built outside of his natural. So he actually he's been very good about that. He makes sure that he keeps himself safe against any sort of run-bys at the earliest possible moment in the game.
Indeed. So he's going to be safe there, and these 4 Queens are not really out there spreading creep. So these Marines, that 1 SCV building a bunker was kind of a success. These 4 Queens really want to be spreading creep because right away, the more creep tumors you have, the quicker it'll spread.
Well, let's see here as the STC gets things underway. Another reactor popping up, and he's going into a single engineering bay for now.
Yeah, that was clever.
Yeah, putting the engineering bay there for just a second to help
forcing the 4
stop the
queens
hatch.
away again for a little while.
For a little while at the very least, but okay, so from here, DongRaeGu hasn't really gotten a read on what his opponent is saying, but you know, if he's able to pick up on this pretty soon, 2 racks, he sees the working factory or something along those lines, where does he go from here? I mean, what's his general strategy from here on out?
All right, well, last game we saw Leenock running with some lings, and those few lings did a little bit of damage. Their primary job was to scout. This time, if he got some lings into scout, he would see a lot of Marines and already a lot of Hellions. This is looking very much to be a Marine Hellion timing, where he's going to try and get 6 to 8 Hellions, something like that, and maybe 14, 20 Marines, maybe 2 medevacs even with this, so he can pick up what's left and just go for a time and try and hit the 3rd. And the Zerg is just going to want to defend. He doesn't know yet. Like, he doesn't have the knowledge. It could be Banshees, it could be Cloaked Banshees at that. So he's kind of being risky not throwing down any Spore Crawlers. But it's interesting to see here how DRG is just very confident in dealing with whatever it is instantly. He doesn't have the tower there. He's just blocked in the 3rd. And doesn't really know what's going to come forth.
Okay, well, you know, STC already has a lot of bio units out there. He's gone for the strategy that delays tanks for a little bit, though he does now have the tech lab just finished up, so we will be able to pretty easily move into that production here in just a moment. Zergling speed is almost finished, but not quite, so Zerglings don't really have that much presence on the map, of course. Really nice creep spread, though, already from DongRaeGu at about the 9-minute mark, already going past the first Xel'Naga tower.
Yep, 4 Queens extra will definitely help out with that, for sure.
Yeah, that's a fact. Queen's a pretty good unit. They have a lot of utility, and the players that tend to go for a couple extra do tend, with good mechanics, to be rewarded quite a bit.
All right, so here's the timing. It's going to be something different than I thought, though. I thought it would be a pressure on the 3rd, right? In this case, what STC wants to do is use the Hellions to kind of drag the army over there, to try and force them to deal with the Hellions and to be afraid of the Hellions, if nothing else. And in the meantime, he's sending 2 full dropships full of Marines to the main. This is definitely going to catch DRG off guard. And
especially where he's putting it, too. He's actually going right in between almost all of the detection, so nothing's been picked up on this. All the Zerglings have been sent over to the 3rd, and this is out of the vision of his opponent for now. So everything's chasing away these Hellions just perfectly, and STC is going to be able to do a pretty great amount of damage before those Zerglings can actually react. 60 Marines, that's a lot of killing potential right there, and a lot of drones have already fallen.
Yeah. Those Marines, they're even going to get the spawning pool. What else can they get? They can get any more drones, and then they can be able to pick off and leave without taking any damages, probably, as long as he does it very well.
And STC got his Hellions actually in a great spot. He has to pick up out of here now. He's lost about 7 Marines, but he did a little bit of damage. 12 workers were killed. He did pick off the spawning pool, and he started disrupting that economy inside of the main. So pretty successful drop. Loses all the Hellions, lost about 7 Marines, but picks up the rest.
I think it's about even. The 3rd base is coming up from Terran, which is really good. The Zerg hasn't expanded to a 4th, but he's taking the gas a lot at a pretty early time on his 3rd. So even game. Looking forward to seeing what both players have from here.
All right, so DongRaeGu has already made a few banelings, and he's got his baneling speed, relevant upgrades, restarting that spawning pool. Of course, he's certainly going to need that moving forward, and getting himself a Spire for now. I don't think that we've seen a baneling nest quite yet, but there are a lot of Zerg players that do enjoy staying on Tier 2 tech for a pretty long period of time, eventually throwing on those infestors, but delaying high for a while. Hyun, good example of someone who likes to do that.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have Muta, Baneling, and Link at this point. We haven't really seen that from Leenock, who used to favorite it, and now he's been doing a lot of Burrow Baneling, so I'm curious to see if there'll be a couple more really awesome Baneling explosions coming in from DRG.
Well, we think there would have to be, or at least maybe that's just the selfish side of me saying I want there to be.
There will be,
yes,
if I have to do the 4 of them.
Well, for the STC, though, I mean, everything's hitting at about the right time. I don't see continued upgrades out of him, though. They have been a little bit delayed. Yep. But DongRaeGu has done a fantastic job of just continuing creep spread everywhere. He's starting to take over his opponent's side of the map now, and there's not much that STC can do about this. He's going to have to waste a lot of scans just to be able to get that to recede. Otherwise, we're going to be able to see with the wide running paths here, DongRaeGu would be able to pretty easily move up into Ultralist play later on if he so desires. He has a lot of flexibility.
He's revealing his mutas here. This dropship doing no damage, but revealing mutas, which is really all he wanted to do. Now STC's not going to get caught in the middle of the map with just some Marines, and then he'll think he's safe to pick off into a dropship. Now he knows the mutas are there, and DRG's creep spread is absolutely amazing. None of the 4 queens, or at least there's still 1 left, that's spreading creep and really just making the map into what Zerg wants it to be like.
Yeah, very nice job. And also doing a good job of using the mobility that it grants it by trapping more Marines and just generally forcing his opponent back. So we'll see if he can continue to press that sort of an advantage. More barracks coming up now. A second factory is done, so we're double producing takes at this stage of the game. These mutas are going to be a little bit annoying, but looks like our Terran player does have enough stim Marines there that he's going to be able to force them back. But it does move him out of position, while DongRaeGu morphs in 1 billion banelings.
Just 500 million.
Yes. I'm sorry, I was off by 500 million or so.
That's okay. The thing Zerg wants to do here is they want to trade. They want the Terran to move out right here, or even just to force a trade, to charge in, to use the mutas to force a lot of army to be in the main, and then attack at the third. Because this army, when it's maxed, risk maxed, generally isn't going to be the equal of the Terrans, unless it's very lucky, very good position, good micro. It's much harder once it gets to that max, and we're getting there very quickly. SCC's had some amazing macro, but he is moving out a little bit before the 200 mark. And even the supply lies a little bit by saying some of the supply is there, but in reality it's still being just made. So that's something you want to look at as well. But
yeah, I'm a little more worried about him trying to hit this before 2-2 finishes up, because if there's a little bit of an anti-timing here, because he's moved out and it's still a few seconds before 2-2 finishes up, and the rest of the banelings and Zerlings are just closing in immediately on these forces. The tanks get themselves in a decent position, but they're immediately picked off by the mutas simply due to the fact that the bio units had to retreat through the entire process. And then now this front wall is in serious danger of going down. The bunker falls, and now everything is exposed.
Yeah. That was the timing that Terran had to not get hit right there, right?
Yeah.
Right before 2-2, right? And DRG hit it. It's actually very difficult to know if he had that window. A lot of times you think, well, my opponent's good enough, he's not going to give me that window. But DRG's like, okay, I think I got it. I think I got this window. I'm going to bet everything that I did. And he did. And it worked.
Yeah, and it worked out in spades. So it looks like this bunker is going to fall too. The rest of the defenses have fallen. And ladies and gentlemen, this must just very well be GG here in a second, as DongRaeGu continues to do damage. STC trying to do that very classic backstab, trying to get in there with some drops to do some economic damage behind this to find some sort of way to equalize, but he just can't stem the tide of units that are making their way in. The tanks are dying one by one, just one tank and a handful of Marines remaining, and DongRaeGu is just seconds away from knocking one of our remaining 3 Terran players out of the tournament.
Yeah, very nicely played by DRG. Just very nice. They're choosing to go mutas in a situation now where a lot of players are going Festers, maybe trying to throw off STC with them, and it seems to have done it.
2 Marines go! Win the game!
They can do it!
Anyway, well, they're going to try, certainly.
3 kills, 2 kills. Can they get another one?
Yeah. Looks like the Zerglings are already there. Bye-bye. I like how that Marine spun around there for a second.
He
doing
tried.
a little dance before he went down.
Yep. Had style to the end.
Yes. Well, I mean, you know, we try not to be those guys who call the game too early, but it's 44 supply right now.
I think it's about even.
Yeah.
To be honest.
There it is. GG. STC is knocked out of the tournament. I got to give a big round of applause to him, though. He had a miraculous run through the bracket. He's really done a fantastic job knocking out some top-level players, but MVP DongRaeGu too strong, and he moves on into the round of 8. Yeah,
like you said, one of the last remaining Terran players, so doing very well, and just no shame falling to DRG at all.
Yeah, so DRG, very nice game there. And that does conclude our second set. So we've had 2 partial sets, but now we're going to have a full set as we're going to have another MVP Zerg player, Sniper, going up against Liquid Hero.
Or will we have another started game? You guys don't know. You'll find out, though.
Okay, so that's going to be our next set. Again, if you want to follow the IGN Pro League, check us out on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube as @IGNProLeague. We do certainly appreciate your support and hope you guys have been enjoying this entire tournament. We are going to run to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, guys, it'll be Liquid Hero versus MVP Sniper.